Are you a chronic overpacker? Do you wish you could pack with just one carry-on when you travel? Do you want to be less stressed about your packing? Well, then hang on for this episode because I'm going to share how I pack with one carry-on for 1 week of travel. Is fear holding you back from traveling because you don't have anyone to go with? Are you concerned about being a woman traveling alone and not sure how to prepare for a solo trip? Do family and friends think you are crazy for even considering solo travel? Well, in this podcast, you will become equipped to travel safely by yourself. You'll learn things like tactical travel tips and how to prepare for a trip and how to overcome the fear so you can discover the transformation that travel can bring. My mission is to see more women over 50 discover how travel can empower them. If you want to enjoy your next travel adventures solo, then start your journey here. Hello, sister travelers. I'm Cheryl, solo travel advocate and travel coach. I have experienced life-changing adventures through travel, and I want the same for you. So stay tuned here every week, and you will learn to find freedom through your travels, build your confidence while safely navigating new places. So you're stumped about what to pack for your next trip. Well, I figured since I am getting ready, actually have started packing for my Europe trip, that I would share with you some of my packing tips. You want to consider a few things before you even get into the clothes and what you're going to bring. You want to consider the weather of where you're going. Is it going to be wintertime there, or is it going to be summertime? Will it be their rainy season? You have to keep that in mind as you're considering what to pack. The second thing you want to consider is what activities will you be doing while you were there. Most of my trips often include hiking, so I want to make sure that I'm taking the appropriate clothing and footwear for when I go hiking. Thirdly, you want to also be aware of any local customs. For example, if you are going to be visiting any religious sites, you're going to be mindful of how, as a woman, you are going to be expected to dress. A lot of times, some places will have you make sure you have a head covering, or at least you have to have your shoulders covered. No midriffs. You have to have your knees covered. So being mindful of the local customs. Even if you're not going to a religious site, there are some countries that you just want to be respectful of their culture and how to be expected to dress. And then, of course, the fourth thing to consider is the type of fabric you'll be wearing. Also goes back to that first point, dependent on the weather. So once you've considered all those things, some things that you're going to want to also look into is creating a capsule wardrobe, they call it. So what is a capsule wardrobe? Well, it's really items that you can mix and match very easily with everything else that you bring. So never bring an item that can only be worn one time and doesn't go with anything else. So for example, maybe you're taking, granted, you might be going somewhere for a special occasion, and maybe you need to take that special dress that would only be worn once and doesn't really mix and match with anything else. So that could be a possibility there. In general, a capsule wardrobe would also be considered for travel purposes about 10 to 15 items, a piece of clothing. And those should be, you can pick a color theme or color palette that you want to stay with. You know, most people might pick just all neutrals, or maybe they like their black wardrobe, so most of their stuff is blacks or grays in that kind of field. For my Paris trip, I chose more the neutrals. So I am going to be taking kind of like cream-colored sweater. I have tan pants and, kind of all those light brown shade. And so things that are going to be able to mix and match for sure. Things that like your tops and bottoms could go with any of the bottoms that you bring. As they say, each piece of clothing that you bring should be able to mix and match with something else that you brought with you. Avoid just in case items. Oh, I'm going to throw that in just in case. We all do that, right? Oh, I might need that just in case. Well, those just in case items can really add up, and you might find yourself really having to stuff things into your suitcase to get it closed. So we want to avoid those. Even for me, I have to lay out my clothes before I pack. And I like to pack at least 2 weeks before I go, sometimes beforehand, because I want to make sure if there's something that I need to purchase that I have time to do that. So let's go from the bottom up, right? Let's talk about shoes. How many shoes should you bring? I typically only travel with 2 pairs of shoes. Sometimes I'm able to sneak a third pair in. If it's, summertime or something, then yes, I can throw in a pair of sandals, even maybe a pair of flip-flops. It just depends on my destination. So 2 to 3 is what they recommend. And if you're taking 3 pair, you want to make sure you are wearing your biggest and heaviest or thickest pair of shoes on the plane. So that would be your travel pair of shoes, right? So you kind of save space when you are packing in your suitcase. So 2 to 3 pairs of shoes. So that could be a sightseeing pair of shoes would be one. Something comfortable that feels that you can be walking around in for long periods of time. Make sure it's got good support and it is comfortable for you. Then your second pair of shoe could be an activity shoe. For me, if I'm planning to do a hike, it's going to be my hiking boots. That would be my second pair of shoe. My third pair of shoe is going to be what I call the wild card shoe. It could be a dress-up shoe. It could be a sandal. Again, depending on what your activities are. Now, you do want to consider durability and if it needs to be waterproof, depending on where you're going. So I'm going to be also hitting Amsterdam while I'm in Europe, and we're talking it's April, so there is going to be rain over there. So I'm actually taking a pair of waterproof, low-cut, fashionable boots with me as one of my pairs of shoes. And I have another pair of shoes that are just, they're tennis shoes. They're comfortable. They're something that I will use for those sightseeing days. My boots are pretty comfortable too, so if I had to walk maybe a half a day in them, I could do that as well. And I'm trying to decide if I will add a third wild card pair of shoes. I'm still on the fence about that and seeing if I can get away with just 2 pair for this trip. And then we're going to talk about bottoms. Okay, what are we taking? How many bottoms are we taking? I would say 3 bottoms at max. So those can be pants, if you're comfortable wearing pants. They could be leggings. They could be, maybe you like wearing skirts. Maybe they could be three skirts. One of those bottoms, so you're going to pack 2, and one of those bottoms are what you're going to wear on the plane. Okay, so that's including the pair that you're traveling with. I like to have my travel outfit for there and back being the same, typically, and then wearing them probably one more time while I'm at my destination, at least the bottoms. Okay, your tops, moving up to the tops, I recommend 3 to 4 tops. Again, depending on the weather, they could be blouses, they could be, I actually, even though I put 3 to 4 tops, I always make sure I pack at least 1 t-shirt. For example, when I went to Ireland, I made sure I had 1 t-shirt. It was nice to have to layer up if I needed it, put underneath my sweater, or to have it. Sometimes the plane can be, I wore it on my plane trip, but I also had something over top of it. So if I got warm, I could take that off and take off those layers. So, nice to just kind of throw a t-shirt in there. But if you are going to a summer destination, you might have maybe all your tops are t-shirts, or maybe you like to mix it with t-shirts and tank tops or short sleeve shirts. However you like to mix and match that. Because I'm going to, it's going to be cooler in Paris, I'm also including a sweater. Now, even when I travel in the summer, I always like to include a sweater. It can be a lightweight sweater, maybe a cardigan, because when I go into places that have air condition, I do tend to get cold. So I like to just have a little something to throw on, or maybe the evenings get a little chilly. So it's always nice to have something like that to just have with you. I'm also taking one sweatshirt. And that's going to be actually probably something I'm going to wear on the plane because I want to be comfortable on the plane. And it tends to get a little chilly on the plane at times. So I like to have that either available or on me. Okay. I am taking a dress. Now, I almost never travel with a dress, but I am going to Paris, and last time I traveled over to Europe and was trying to get into a nice place, I did not have the right appropriate attire and was denied service. So we are planning to go to a nice restaurant one of the nights that we are there. So I'm going to throw in a dress. Now this dress is a nice, it's a cotton dress. It's multicolored. It actually would go well with my boots. It goes well with all the accessories that I'm planning to take. So it's got some of those neutral colors in it. And speaking of, I'm taking a scarf, a big scarf. A lot of women like to travel with these big scarves. They are a great idea, especially if you're going to a country that might require you to cover your head. So that scarf could be used in multiple ways. So it's a great, just one scarf, one of those big scarves that could either be put over your head. It could be wrapped around your shoulders, like a shawl, or it could also maybe even be wrapped around your waistline and almost act as sort of a cover-up if you're going somewhere warm, or diagonally to be more fashionable. So there's lots of ways. You could even wear it around your neck for warmth, if it gets cold. So I'm taking a scarf, and I've chosen just a cream-colored scarf that's going to go with everything that I am packing. I'm also taking a jacket. I'm taking a rain jacket, actually, for Paris and the Netherlands. But when I went to Ireland, I took a puffy jacket, which was really compactable. And so there's some that are out there if you're going to a winter destination that you need a puffy coat or a winter coat type of thing. There's lots of options out there that you could take advantage of that it can be compactable. So if you didn't wear it all the time, it can be squished down. If you're going to a warm destination, you probably want your swimsuit, of course, or maybe two, because those are pretty small, right? I don't have any plans to take a swimsuit to Paris. I don't see any need for that. And then, of course, you're going to take your pajamas. I'm going to take 7 pairs of underwear because I'm going to be gone. I'm actually going to be gone a little more than a week, but I'm going to only take 7. So I'm looking at this as a week packing trip for you. You can always take some laundry detergent or little packets and wash things in the sink, especially like bras and underwear. I'm going to wear a bra, and then I'm going to take a bra as far as my undergarments are concerned. And then socks, of course, making sure I have, a few pairs of socks that go with my tennis shoes. And if I'm going to hike, I always make sure I bring my hiking socks with me as well. So that's a general packing that I do for a 1-week trip. Keeping, you're going to be re-wearing things, folks. So just get used to that. And that's why they want to make sure you can mix and match everything, create this little capsule wardrobe for yourself for your packing. Now, how do you fit all that into a suitcase and keep it pretty small? You want to fold and roll and use packing cubes. So you're going to kind of fold and then roll your item and buy yourself some packing cubes so that you can sort of really stuff things in there and make them all nice and compact, almost like a, compression kind of, have you ever seen those bags that they were pretty famous a while back where you could store things, the vacuum seal bags where you kind of, they suck out the air and it sucks everything in. Well, that's the idea of packing cubes, okay? We can't really suck out the air, but you can really stuff things in there to kind of fit more into your suitcase. Now, because you're going to be rolling and folding and stuffing and packing into packing cubes, you want to probably pick fabrics that are not going to get so wrinkled. Obviously, your a cotton mix is probably pretty good. Definitely, a fabric like rayon is going to definitely wrinkle. So if you know you're going to have an iron at the other end, then that's fine. Then you can pack, that kind of fabric. Merino wool is actually very versatile. Not only is it good for colder weather, but it's also great for even medium weather. I wouldn't necessarily wear that in the heat of summer, like 100 degrees, 90 degrees, but it does tend to, it wicks the sweat. So it dries real quickly. It's great. I do have a bunch of merino wool sort of I call them undershirts, but they're long sleeve t-shirt kind of things that I often will wear under things. I wear them a lot for hiking. So an item like that, you could even get them in a tank top or a short sleeve kind of merino wool tops that could be versatile as well. And those pack really nicely because they really don't wrinkle. You can just kind of shake them out, maybe hang them in the shower when you're taking your shower the first time at your destination, just to get a couple of those extra little wrinkles out. But they're fine. I haven't had issues with mine. So things to consider when you're packing. And I'll leave this list in the program notes as to how many items. Remember, we're looking at only 10 to 15 items, not including your undergarments. Those would be like clothes items like tops and bottoms, sweaters and scarves and that kind of stuff that you're planning to take. And how to pack so you can condense and save space. Use those packing cubes. I'll leave the list of kind of what I have done and what I'm going to be doing for my Paris trip if you want to refer to that. When I get closer to actually leaving for my Paris trip, I will get a video out and I will go ahead and video what I'm packing. I'll take some pictures and upload it to my Instagram so that you can have a visual of what I am taking and how I have mixed and matched my items of clothing. So I can kind of have different outfits while I'm there, but using those same items again and again. I hope this has helped you. For my chronic overpackers out there, I hope that you can learn to reduce those just in case items, avoid that completely, and just know that you're going to wear what you take. I mean, how many times have you gotten back from your vacation and unloaded your suitcase and go, oh, well, I never even wore this? Yes, we've all been there. So this is a great way, thinking of capsule wardrobe packing, to avoid that. So sisters, I also wanted to let you know that I will be a guest on someone else's podcast. It actually airs tomorrow, Wednesday, February 15th, on the Divorce Confidant podcast, in which I talk about solo travel after divorce. If you're interested in listening to that episode, in that regards, talking about solo travel and divorce. I will include that in my social media if you care to listen to that episode on Divorce Confidant. Remember, sisters, be fearless. Go buy those tickets and go on that adventure.